What do you do when hope dies in front of you? What do you believe when everything you trusted collapses? Imagine standing beneath a darkened sky. The air feels heavy. The ground trembles. The crowd is loud, yet your heart feels strangely silent. The one you followed, the one you believed in, the one you thought would change everything, is hanging on a cross. This is where the Easter story begins. Not with celebration. Not with resurrection songs. Not with bright morning light. It begins in heartbreak. The disciples had expectations. They believed Jesus would restore Israel, overthrow oppression, and establish visible glory. They saw miracles. They saw authority. They saw power. But what they did not expect was suffering. What they did not expect was humiliation. What they did not expect was crucifixion. The day we now call Good Friday did not feel good to them. It felt like failure. It felt like God had lost. It felt like everything they invested their lives in had collapsed in a single afternoon. And maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you believed God for something, and instead of breakthrough, you faced disappointment. Maybe you stepped out in faith, and instead of favor, you encountered struggle. The cross teaches us something uncomfortable. Sometimes God's greatest victories look like defeat at first. What looked like weakness was redemption in motion. What looked like loss was love being poured out. What looked like the end was actually the beginning of renewal. But no one standing at the foot of that cross understood that yet. They only saw pain. And pain clouds perspective. We often rush from the cross to the empty tomb. But there was a day in between. A day of silence. A day where nothing seemed to happen. Saturday. The tomb was sealed. A massive stone was rolled into place. Roman guards were stationed outside. It looked final. It looked official. It looked irreversible. Hope was buried. And some of you are living in Saturday right now. You prayed. You fasted. You believed. But nothing moved. No miracle. No sign. No visible answer. Just silence. Saturday is the hardest day of faith. Because Friday at least has activity. Sunday has celebration. But Saturday has stillness. And stillness can feel like abandonment. But here's what we must understand. God does his deepest work in hidden places. While the disciples mourned, heaven was moving. While doubt spread, resurrection power was building. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean God is inactive. The seed is buried before it grows. The caterpillar enters a cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. And sometimes dreams are buried before their lives transform. Saturday is not punishment. Saturday is preparation. The silence is not absence. It is anticipation. Early Sunday morning, before the sun fully rose, women walked toward the tomb carrying spices. They expected to anoint a body. They prepared for mourning. They asked a practical question: who will roll the stone away? They focused on obstacles. But when they arrived, the obstacle was already removed. The stone was not rolled away to let Jesus out. It was rolled away so witnesses could see what had already happened. The tomb was empty. Death had been defeated. The grave had failed. This is the heart of Easter. Resurrection is not a metaphor. It is a declaration. Death does not have the final word. Failure does not get the last sentence. Darkness does not win in the end. The same power that raised Christ from the grave proves that nothing is too final for God. The stone represented fear. The stone represented doubt. The stone represented impossibility. And it moved. What stone in your life feels immovable? What situation feels sealed? Resurrection reminds us that stones move when heaven speaks. Before resurrection, the disciples hid behind locked doors. They were afraid. Afraid of arrest. Afraid of association. afraid of the future. But after they encountered the risen Christ, everything changed. Fear transformed into courage. Confusion transformed into clarity. Weakness transformed into boldness. Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, became a powerful preacher. Thomas, who doubted, became a devoted witness. Resurrection does more than inspire, it transforms. It rebuilds identity. It restores confidence. It removes shame. Some of you are still defining yourself by your Friday failures. But Easter says Friday is not your final identity. You are not permanently labeled by your worst moment. Resurrection rewrites stories. Easter is not just about life after death. It's about renewal in the present. Renewal of faith. Renewal of hope. Renewal of purpose. Renewal of identity. Sometimes we think resurrection only applies to eternity. But it applies to today. Your faith can rise again. Your joy can rise again. Your courage can rise again. Maybe disappointment buried your enthusiasm. Maybe betrayal buried your trust. Maybe failure buried your confidence. But buried is not dead. Buried is temporary. Seeds are buried before harvest. The resurrection shows us that God specializes in bringing life out of places that look finished. There is a rhythm to life that mirrors Easter. Friday, pain. Saturday, silence. Sunday, power. Everyone experiences Friday. Moments of loss, heartbreak, confusion. Everyone experiences Saturday. Waiting seasons, unanswered prayers, hidden processes. But Sunday always follows. The danger is quitting on Saturday. The danger is assuming Friday defines the whole story. Do not judge your life in the middle of the chapter. God writes complete stories. Sunday does not cancel Friday, it redeems it. The wounds remain, but they no longer define the outcome. What in your life needs resurrection? Is it your peace? Your vision? Your discipline? Your passion for God? Some of you feel sealed inside circumstances you did not choose. But the stone was never permanent. The tomb was temporary. God does not specialize in small restorations. He specializes in total reversals. The cross looked permanent. The tomb looked sealed. But Sunday rewrote everything. The same power that raised Christ still restores today. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not stuck. Your Saturday is not eternal. Sunday is coming. Easter is the ultimate story of hope and renewal. It teaches us that pain is not pointless. Silence is not abandonment. Burial is not final. The cross says you are loved. The empty tomb says you are not finished. Resurrection says your story continues. If this message has spoken to you, don't leave quietly. Declare your faith. Comment below. Sunday is coming. Share this message with someone who feels trapped in Friday. And if you believe God is renewing something in your life this season, subscribe and join this growing community of faith. Because Easter is not just history. It is hope alive. It is renewal in motion. It is proof that endings are not final. And your story is not over.